Resuming debate, the member for Bow River.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to congratulate you on taking the chair as Deputy Speaker. That's fantastic and well deserved. Mr. Speaker, I rise in this House today with humility and purpose. I stand here with a promise, one that shaped my family across generations. A promise that if you work hard, raise your family, and love your country, you'll be free to live in dignity and peace. I'm the great-grandson of a pioneer who broke the untamed fields of what would become Alberta before there was power and pavement. I'm also the son of a farmer who survived communism with nothing but his hands, his family, and the hope that Alberta would be a place where his children could speak freely, live safely, and never bow to a state that hated them. My father didn't come to Canada in 1953 for a handout. He didn't arrive on a student visa or as part of some bureaucratic temporary foreign worker program. No, Hubert Bexley came to Canada to build a farm, to build a community, to build a country, and most importantly, to build a family. He paid back his own passage from Europe by laboring in Alberta's sugar beet fields. On the southern edge of this very riding, I represent here today with no welfare, no hotel rooms, no Liberal-sponsored welcome package, just sweat, sacrifice, and a belief that what Canada could be was what we should aspire to. I chose to raise my own 4 children in the Alberta countryside because that's where promise still lives. It lived with my great-grandfather's hands, it lived in my father's footsteps, and now it lives in my children. And let me say this, I would not be here without the support of my wife, Lorelei, my children, Kyle, Kian, William, and Annalise, my mother, Nadine, and the rest of my extended family. I also want to thank the many people of Bow River, from Grassy Lakes to Tilly, Gem to Bicycle, Conrich to Siksika Nation, Arrowwood, Milo, Carmangay, Barnwell, and everywhere in between. You are my neighbors. You are who I aspire to be, and I hold this seat for you. I also owe a debt of gratitude to 4-H Alberta, a program in a community that shaped me early. I joined when I was 9 years old, and it was there that I learned how to speak with confidence, work with purpose, and serve my neighbors. It's where I first lived the motto I still carry with me today, to learn to do by doing. Mr. Speaker, I also want to recognize the young people watching today. In Alberta, the grade 6 curriculum, grade 6 students learn about our political system, and many are watching these proceedings live. One of those classrooms is taught by Dr. Brian Jackson of Lyelta, and these students are paying attention. They're learning not from sound bites, but from how we carry ourselves in this House. Mr. Speaker, the riding that sent me here is called Bow River. It's not just a place, it's a people. It's a home, it's a promise. You see, much like the people who rely on it, the Bow doesn't ask Ottawa's permission to flow. It carves through rocks, it sustains life, it cuts a path forward whether anyone is in this chamber notices or not. The Bow runs past oil wells shut down by people who have never set foot on a rig. It flows past farms taxed by bureaucrats who couldn't grow a weed. It flows past churches left to burn. While politicians offered excuses instead of justice, it flows past the homes of veterans, seniors, and families forgotten by the system, but not by me. The beautiful thing about the Bow is this: even when the government grinds to a halt, it keeps flowing. When politicians hostile to Alberta try to strangle our economy, it keeps flowing. When bureaucrats and glass towers write the rules that cripple our farms, it keeps flowing. When unelected judges rewrite our rules and call it progress, it keeps flowing. When they shut down our churches, our rigs, and our rodeos, it keeps flowing. The Bow doesn't care about trendy acronyms or performative politics. It cares about feeding cattle, watering crops, and quenching the thirst of a working land. It fuels an ecosystem, an economy, and it helps feed the world. It doesn't wait for permission. It flows where it needs to flow. And if it wasn't clear, Mr. Speaker, I'm not just talking about the river, I'm talking about the people. Because just like the Bow, we move with purpose. And we're done with waiting for the rest of the country to catch up. We don't need a national strategy, we need Ottawa to get out of the way. Mr. Speaker, I ran to represent the people who built this country, and now watch it being dismantled by people who don't understand it. And worse, don't even like it. This week, the Prime Minister stood before this country and promised more of the same: a new housing bureaucracy, a new set of buzzwords instead of a budget, and more red tape instead of results. And not a word, not a single word about oil and gas pipelines or the workers who drive our economy. Let's be honest with Canadians. We don't need to renew the consensus on immigration, the one that's fueled the Liberal political ambition for a decade. We need to rebuild this country for Canadians. We don't need to gaslight working families into acceptance of out-of-control immigration while wages stagnate, house prices explode, and services collapse. We need to restore common sense and put Canadians first in their own country. We don't need more empty promises. We need paychecks you can raise a family on, homes you can actually afford, and streets you feel safe walking down. We need less gatekeeping, less government, and a whole lot more grit. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, I come from the part of Canada that feeds this country and fuels its economy, so you'll understand if I speak plainly. Because where I come from, words matter, but work and deeds matter more. I'm here to fight for the honest worker, the family farmer, the rig hand, the rancher, the welder, the widow, the health worshipper, and every kid who still believes this country can be worth something. I come to this House with one of the strongest mandates in the nation. And Mr. Speaker, do you know how I earned it? I promised to rip this place down to the studs and start rebuilding a country we can recognize again. The Prime Minister this week showed he's here to do the opposite. Behind the pageantry and parades, he disrespected the Crown by using the King to deliver a tired and empty speech, meant to distract Canadians from a simple truth. He's still stumbling forward on the heels of Justin Trudeau's failed record. Mr. Speaker, I have deep respect for our institutions, but what Canadians needed this week wasn't ceremonial flourishes, they needed substance. Not sentiment, but solutions. Not more speeches from elites in suits, but action for people in coveralls. The farmers, the builders, the rig hands, the parents wondering how they'll afford groceries and heat at the same time. Canadians are tired of being lectured. They're tired of being told everything is fine when they can see with their eyes that it's not. This country has a proud and noble history. It was built by pioneers, sustained by families, and defended by those willing to risk everything for the promise of freedom and prosperity. But after a decade of mismanagement and division from the Liberal front bench, that promise is fading. Alberta separatism is no longer a fringe idea. I heard it at the doors more times than I can count. And I'll tell you plainly, Alberta staying in Confederation is not up to me, and it's not up to the Liberal government. It's up to the people of Alberta. And the Albertans know that they have options. If this House continues to insult, abuse, and neglect Alberta, if it refuses to treat our people and our industries with the respect that they've earned, then the future of this country is not guaranteed. None of us should assume that we'll have this job here tomorrow. At any moment, this government could lose the confidence of the House. And when that moment comes, Canadians will remember who stayed with them and who stood in their way. Because when the system stalls, the Bow River keeps flowing. When this government offers platitudes instead of a plan, the Bow keeps flowing. When they forget who built this country, we remember and we keep moving. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the people of Bow River for one of the strongest mandates in this nation. To my family and my friends, my neighbors, thank you for trusting me with this duty. I won't let you down. I didn't come here to rub shoulders with royalty. I came here to fight for the families, farmers, and energy workers who build this country. And I'll keep fighting until the Liberal government gets the message. Because that promise still lives, and I intend to keep it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments? Question commentaires. The member for Winnipeg North.
Yes, so thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I suspect going forward, we might have a disagreement on a lot of things between that member and myself. I, for one, feel very confident in believing that Canadians want a national health care system. They want a national child care system. They want a government that truly cares and can actually deliver. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? I listened to the Alberta Premier, and I think she might be further to the left than that particular member, Mr. Speaker. In fact, when I listen to the member opposite, I'm not too sure what side of the issue of separation he is actually on, Mr. Speaker. My question to the member opposite is, does he not believe that Canada working together can in fact have a positive outcome for everyone in all regions of the country, and that the federal government does have a very important role in society.
Member for Bull River.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you very much for the. I thank the member opposite very much for the question. I take some offense at his allusion to my patriotism. Canada is the country where my family came to by choice for a future. It was very deliberate. It was Canada or Australia, and they chose Canada. And that is the blood that flows through my veins. I think the problem is that the government is failing on the promise to deliver to the people. We want a society that's good for everyone. We have compassion. We want a society that thrives and survives and develops. But the Liberal government has failed in that promise over the last 9 years, and there's nothing in this current circumstance that shows any otherwise.
Questions et commentaires. Le député pour Drummond.
The honourable member for Drummond. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's nice to see you in the chair. Why? Because you are very rigorous in your approach. Whenever you have questions to ask, whenever you answer a question, you're quite daunting. So it's nice to see you in the chair because, well, we won't have to face you as much across the floor. I'd also like to congratulate the new member for Bow River. I was very fond of his predecessor, Mr. Shields, and I would invite my new colleague as soon as possible to let Mr. Shields know how much I appreciated working with him, especially on matters of heritage, because we were both on the committee together. Now, I listened closely to my new colleague's speech. He spoke about the Alberta independence movement. Given that some Albertans are very unsatisfied about a number of things, whether that's justified or not, it's not up to me to judge. But of course, we know that in Quebec there has been a desire for independence for many decades. And it wasn't always treated with the same respect that we would have hoped for. So this desire that is beginning to germinate in Alberta, would this not be a good time, according to my colleague, to deeply consider the future of this country? Because perhaps the various regions of the country should call into question the best way to face the future and its challenges. We believe Quebec should be an independent nation. We've been saying that for a long time. But based on what I'm hearing about what's happening in Alberta, I'm getting the impression that perhaps this kind of movement, this kind of thinking should extend to the rest of Canada. Thank you.
Member for Bull River.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for the comments, and I'm a little bit remiss in thanking former MP Martin Shields for all of his support and the duty and service that he gave in this seat that I now occupy. And I will pass on the wishes from the member. But, Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. I want a strong and united Canada. Albertans want a strong and united Canada. But unity isn't something you can enforce from the top down. It has to be earned through respect, fairness, and equal treatment. And right now, Alberta isn't feeling much of that, and it isn't seeing much of that. This House has the opportunity to forge a nation and to bring it all together, to show all the provinces what the promise of Canada is. If this House wants national unity, then it starts by giving Western Canadians a reason to believe in that again.
Hear, hear.